Have you ever wondered about the secret stories people carefully hide behind their skillfully crafted facades? Every day we encounter individuals who radiate smiles, speak pleasant words, and appear genuinely sincere. Yet sometimes an inner voice whispers to us that beneath this carefully constructed mask lies something significantly deeper. In today's society, where external appearances are valued much more highly than authenticity, people easily transform themselves into various personas. They create the impression of being kind, attentive, and honorable individuals, although their true nature may radically differ from the image they present. A person's real character manifests not through their verbal expressions, but through those aspects of behavior that remain unnoticed by most observers. You don't need the knowledge of a philosopher or the qualifications of a psychologist to recognize the authentic essence of those around you. You just need to know where to direct your attention. In this video, we explore two straightforward yet fundamental principles that will allow you to look behind the social masks that people wear. By mastering the skill of recognizing these markers, you significantly enhance your understanding of the personalities around you and be able to consciously determine whom to allow into your life space. It is in these subtle behavioral signals that the key to deep understanding lies, not only of other people but of your own personality as well. Therefore, maintain vigilance, openness to perception, and impartiality in your judgments. Now, let's begin examining the first fundamental principle. How does a person structure their interactions with those who have no ability to reciprocate? If your goal is to uncover an individual's true essence, don't focus on their verbal constructions or attach excessive importance to demonstrative gestures. True character is revealed not in behavioral patterns displayed before an audience, but in the ways one treats those who cannot offer anything valuable in return. Stoic philosophers maintain that authentic virtue needs no public recognition and doesn't depend on the evaluative judgments of others. It isn't defined by high official positions, material wealth, or social status. It reveals itself in the smallest behavioral details, in the manner of a person. This interaction with those who have no influence on their success, cannot contribute to career advancement, or return a favor. Imagine this situation. Lunchtime in a crowded cafe. A barista, overwhelmed with numerous orders, makes a mistake and serves the wrong drink to a customer. The customer's reaction may vary. They might instantly flare up, demand immediate correction of the situation while publicly humiliating the barista in front of other patrons, or calmly point out the mistake, showing patience and understanding. While the first reaction might seem justified, since the customer paid for the service, the second type of behavior demonstrates significantly deeper qualities. The ability to maintain a respectful attitude toward others, even in situations where there is an opportunity to display sharpness or rudeness, speaks volumes. This principle extends beyond interactions with service staff to all interpersonal contacts in everyday life. A person's genuine nature clearly manifests in their manner of communication with waiters, delivery couriers, taxi drivers, cleaning staff, or random passers-by on the street. Do they notice an elderly person having difficulty crossing the road? Do they express gratitude for assistance provided, even if they consider it insignificant? Or, conversely, do they believe that people occupying lower-ranking positions don't deserve respectful treatment? These everyday moments of interaction often go unnoticed, yet they most accurately reflect a person's inner essence. Someone who neglects simple expressions of appreciation, who demonstrates intolerance toward people performing their professional duties, or allows displays of discourtesy, reveals their own inner inadequacy. For such individuals, it is critically important to feel superior and to assert themselves by diminishing others, because deep down they don't feel their own significance and value. True kindness needs no public recognition and doesn't serve as a tool to demonstrate moral superiority. It isn't a one-time demonstrative act, but represents a stable habit of choosing respectful attitudes, patience, and sincerity in daily interactions. Every word of support spoken, every moment of patience shown, every small favor done without expecting gratitude or benefit in return. These aren't just external gestures but direct expressions of a person's genuine character. If you seek to understand someone's true essence, don't limit yourself to perceiving their verbal statements. Observe their behavioral manifestations in moments when external observation is absent. Psychological research confirms that a person's This manner of interaction with those they consider insignificant or of little value represents the most accurate reflection of their authentic self. In such moments, they feel no need to construct an artificial image, seek personal gain, or create a particular impression. They behave according to established habits, demonstrating their attitude toward others without filters of social desirability or protective masks. Philosophers of the Stoic school viewed the ability to control emotional reactions as an indisputable sign of inner strength. They emphasized the importance not just of maintaining composure, but also of recognizing that any life circumstance represents a test of character. If an individual allows minor events to determine their emotional state and control their reactions, this indicates their inner weakness. In today's society, where many have grown accustomed to treating others as commodities, it is especially important to develop the skill of noticing these revealing moments. How does someone interact with a cashier at a shopping mall? What manner of communication do they choose when talking with an elderly neighbor? How do they react in situations when there is no external observation? If in such circumstances they display signs of irritability and impatience, this should be perceived as a warning indicator. To express gratitude, show patience, maintain politeness even in circumstances that provoke negative emotional reactions. These are actions that don't require significant effort, yet they reveal essential characteristics of one's personality. A person's true nature manifests not in their verbal declarations, but in behavioral patterns during moments when they have the opportunity to choose their line of behavior. An arrogant attitude toward those who lack the ability to respond in kind often masks deep-seated insecurity. In psychological science, such a behavioral model is associated with feelings of inadequacy and the need for external validation of one's significance. Individuals prone to belittling others often act not from a position of strength but from internal inadequacy. They attempt to compensate for personal fears and shortcomings by emphasizing their illusory superiority. A personality truly confident in their own abilities doesn't seek self-elevation through diminishing others. They demonstrate their inner strength through self-control, patience, and mindfulness in their actions. Displays of arrogance serve as a warning sign not only in personal relationships but also in the professional sphere. If someone permits rudeness or condescension when communicating with subordinates, service personnel, or casual acquaintances, this indicates inner instability. Such a person will likely lose self-control when minor difficulties arise, because their confidence is based not on an inner core of strength, but on social position and a sense of control over others. Stoic philosophers taught not only how to analyze the behavioral manifestations of others, but also to practice deep self-analysis. We may critically evaluate others' lack of restraint, but does our own behavior always meet the standards we set for others? What communication model do we choose when interacting with those who cannot bring us practical benefit? Do we demonstrate patience in situations where there is no prospect of getting something in return? Or does our kindness manifest exclusively when there is an audience, an opportunity to receive praise or expressions of gratitude? As Marcus Aurelius aphoristically expressed, do not waste time on theoretical discussions about what a worthy person should be. Become one. This concept implies that it is sufficient to begin the practical implementation of one's own principles without expecting grateful feedback or public recognition. This reflects one of the fundamental tenets of Stoicism regarding the conscious control of one's own reactions. Our personal qualities manifest not only in the manner of our relationships with others but also in how we respond to irritating factors or uncomfortable circumstances. Authentic goodwill doesn't require the presence of observers. It naturally manifests in minor details, in situations where one chooses between displaying patience or irritability, benevolence or indifference. The ability to express appreciation even after a tense and difficult day. Showing patience in a moment when an emotional outburst seems like the easier option. The willingness to show respect to everyone, not exclusively to those who potentially can offer something valuable in return. These straightforward behavioral expressions don't require significant willpower, but they create a consistent chain of positive interactions. True nobility of character is defined not by public demonstrative acts, but by the quiet inner strength of daily decisions. A person who shows kindness to everyone around them without exception reveals the deep layers of their character, rather than simply following generally accepted social norms. Let us move on to the second fundamental principle, the significance of fulfilling given obligations. An individual's attitude toward their own promises represents not just an indicator of their reliability, but a profound reflection of their personal qualities. Every word given to another person is not a formal obligation, but a bridge of mutual trust, confirmation that they value this person and show respect for themselves. When an individual consistently adheres to their given word, overcoming arising difficulties, they transmit an unambiguous signal to those around them. I accept full responsibility for my actions. Such a behavioral model strengthens interpersonal trust, contributes to deepening relationships, and demonstrates the significance of the words they speak. What consequences result from breaking promises? This is not merely creating temporary discomfort or inconvenience. It is a fundamental destruction of interpersonal trust. When systematically failing to fulfill obligations, a person devalues not only the significance of their own words but also undermines the foundations of personal self-respect. After all, if they themselves don't take their spoken promises seriously, there is no reason to expect similar regard from others. Each fulfilled promise strengthens the fundamental foundation of our character. In contrast, each broken obligation gradually destroys this basic foundation, weakening not only the trust of others but also undermining faith in one's own abilities. When an individual demonstrates a discrepancy between declared intentions and actual actions, this creates an internal conflict. The conscious mind registers the wrongness of the action, but the individual is forced to resort to self-justifications, finding various excuses to explain their behavior. Over time, such compromises with one's own conscience erode the foundation of self-respect and contribute to turning dishonesty into a habitual behavioral pattern. Stoic philosophers held the conviction that a person's character is determined not by verbal statements but by concrete actions. Epictetus instructed, "Don't proclaim who you are. Demonstrate it through your actions." By keeping promises, a person not only earns the trust of others but also strengthens their inner harmony and integrity. They transform into a trustworthy individual. And what is especially important, into a person capable of trusting themselves. When analyzing your promises, it is worthwhile to ask yourself a simple yet profound question. If I needed to rely on myself, could I trust myself with this important task? If the answer sounds uncertain or is accompanied by doubts, it is precisely at this point that the process of purposeful work on your own character begins. The genuine test of honesty lies in the ability to keep your word in situations when doing so causes difficulties or discomfort. When fulfilling a promise requires no significant effort, this provides little information for evaluating a person's character qualities. However, when life circumstances create obstacles, when external factors complicate the process of fulfilling obligations, that is when true reliability and strength of character are revealed. A person who keeps their promises even in situations causing inconvenience or requiring additional willpower demonstrates not just reliability as a quality of personality, but exhibits genuine moral strength. Leadership and promises. Imagine a situation involving a manager who promised their team improved working conditions. They committed to allocating necessary resources, optimizing workload, and implementing a fair bonus system. But on the path to fulfilling these promises, serious obstacles emerge. Upper management reluctantly agrees to provide the required budget. Bureaucratic procedures significantly slow down work processes. Unforeseen complications and difficulties arise. At this critical moment, two possibilities open before them. Retreat and explain to subordinates that they attempted, but circumstances didn't work in their favor. Or demonstrate persistence and determination. Explore alternative approaches, negotiate compromises, and pursue constructive solutions. Those who prefer the second option to merely keep their promise, they demonstrate genuine leadership qualities. Their team realizes they can be trusted because their words align with their actions. Conversely, if they readily surrender to difficulties, this sends an unambiguous signal to their subordinates. If they aren't willing to stand up for their own promises, is there any reason to believe in their reliability? But what if fulfilling commitments genuinely becomes impossible? Even the most disciplined individuals encounter circumstances beyond their control. In such situations, a person's behavioral response says much more about them than the mere fact of an unfulfilled promise. An honest and mature individual acknowledges their mistake without self-justification or shifting responsibility. They offer sincere apologies, explaining the situation not as a way to evade responsibility, but as confirmation that their word still holds significance. When possible, they propose alternative options or compensation, demonstrating that even in difficult circumstances, they respect those to whom they made commitments. In contrast, If someone resorts to excuses, places blame on external factors, diminishes the significance of the problem by claiming it is unimportant, or ignores the consequences of their actions, their words gradually lose all value. Avoiding responsibility represents not simply a display of weakness, but a fundamental destruction of trust relationships. With regular repetition of such behavior, an individual's reputation becomes so undermined that others stop taking any of their statements seriously. Often people make promises they knowingly cannot fulfill, guided by fear of disappointing others. The desire to please, fear of rejection, or the aim to create a more favorable impression drives us to take on more obligations than we can realistically fulfill. However, Stoic wisdom reminds us, true wisdom lies not only in active deeds, but also in recognizing one's own limitations. Declining to accept excessive obligations is not a sign of weakness, but a manifestation of personal maturity. It is far more noble to display honesty from the beginning than to generate unfounded expectations and subsequently disappoint people. It is worth paying close attention to how people behave in everyday situations. Do they fulfill minor promises with the same conscientiousness as serious commitments? A person's behavior in small matters reveals their essence much more accurately than loud declarations. If an individual regularly maintains punctuality, fulfills even minor obligations, and treats their spoken words with proper responsibility, this convincingly testifies to their reliability. It is also important to assess how reliable we are in relation to ourselves. How often do we promise ourselves to start a new life on the first day of the week, get rid of bad habits, devote more time to personal development, but then find numerous excuses for our inaction? With each instance of breaking a promise made to ourselves, we lose not only precious time but also a significant portion of faith in our own capabilities. Conversely, each small success, each fulfilled obligation, even if it remains unnoticed by others, contributes to strengthening our inner discipline. True strength of character is manifested not so much in keeping promises made to others, but in the ability to remain faithful to our own principles and commitments to ourselves. Each time an individual fulfills a personal commitment they taken on, they strengthen their self-discipline and gain confidence in their ability to complete what they started. Meanwhile, each broken promise gradually undermines the foundation of self-respect and forms a destructive habit of not taking our own words seriously. By observing how a person fulfills the obligations they've taken on, you can gain a significantly more complete understanding of their personality than from their verbal statements. Pay attention to behavioral details. Does the person remain true to their word even in situations when doing so creates certain difficulties? Are they able to acknowledge mistakes they made, and do they demonstrate a desire to correct them? Do they approach the formulation of promises with proper sincerity and thoughtfulness? Answers to these key questions allow you to glimpse into the very essence of human character. Moreover, they become a kind of mirror in which you can clearly see your own behavioral habits as well. Keeping promises is not a chase after unattainable perfection, but a practical demonstration of consistency and reliability. It is in minor everyday gestures and actions, which often remain unnoticed, that the true nature of human personality is most vividly revealed. Reflecting on the material they considered, try to think about how this knowledge might transform your perception of the people around you and, possibly, form a new view of yourself. How often do you focus on people's specific actions rather than their verbal statements? Are there promises to which you could relate with greater responsibility? What small practical steps could help you live in deeper harmony with your internal value system? Genuine personal growth begins with awareness. Each fulfilled promise, each manifestation of integrity and honesty shapes not only how others relate to you, but also your own perception of yourself. A life based on consistency and firm principles acquires additional depth and meaningfulness. For in the end, it is our concrete actions, not words, that create the spiritual legacy we leave behind. If the ideas presented have found an emotional resonance in your soul, share your reflections in the comments. Which specific aspect of the discussion made you think most deeply? If you found this video useful, please like it and subscribe to the channel. There are more videos on this channel that will help you become a better version of yourself.